Rank 1 Hunter Lee Chong-sik and Rank 2 Hunter Seo Dong-chul cannot participate in this battle due to previous injuries. The association has not yet issued any announcement. There were many family members in the apartment. The sounds of suitcases were heard among the hunters living there. Jisoo stuffed things into her blue suitcase so tightly that she couldn't lift it herself. She quickly pulled it out to the living room and told her mother that we have to evacuate quickly. It's chaos outside. As soon as she heard her child planning to run away, the mother immediately rolled up her sleeves and planned to attack in one fell swoop. Where are you planning to go if your brother hasn't returned yet? It's the same as usual. Not showing any concern for Dae-sung. Why should you worry? Can't you see he can defeat all those monsters? Suddenly, the sound of the door rang from outside, making both of them startled. After a while, they heard the hesitant voices of both their mother and Jisoo. Oh, did you just dye your hair? What did you dye it? Dae-sung was suddenly looking for words to explain. Suddenly I saw a blue suitcase that was clearly stuffed to the point. Where were you two going? She whispered into her brother's ear as if she was afraid someone would hear. We're preparing to evacuate. I've packed everything and if things get worse, we'll run out of here together. I talked to this quick-witted girl. Looked back at my mother. Saw her nodding, ready to hear information from my son. Just stay at home with Jisoo. This is the safest place in the country. I came by to inform you. Mom knows that. Giving him a thumbs up, Dae-sung confidently repeated what his daughter had said earlier. He would finish off those monsters and return here. Having said that, Jisoo did not dare to object. Besides, his mother agreed. And after he finished taking care of family matters, he immediately had an evil aura. Just like that, he set out on the street. Army tanks were loudly moved in. Soldiers were mobilized. In extremely large quantities. The highway was wide and wide, with dozens of lanes without a single civilian vehicle. Only tanks heading to a position right below the gate that was whirring and radiating red light in the air. On the roof of the luxury apartment building was the silhouette of a young man standing indifferently, looking towards that S-class gate. It was Dae-sung. Who else was coming in? He was ready but in no hurry to go inside. Dae-sung's cunning eyes had already sensed a plot here. Clearly they were planning to lure him in. And look at the S-class gate rotating continuously in the air. In the middle of a huge observation screen, the branch angrily banged on the table. Those damn haunts. They could actually create an S-rank gate. Next to him, the secretary suddenly became confused. Director, Dae-sung Gang has requested full permission to enter the S-class gate. He clenched his fists. He shouted "Okay baby" in the middle of a room full of faces. Tensed. Then stood up straight and adjusted his tie, mumbling to himself. It seemed like I was a bit too excited. But his face still clearly showed joy. Having chosen the gang that will attack the S-rank gate again. Hey, ask all the remaining forces to wait outside for reinforcement orders. Immediately send a message to the other forces. The secretary received the order to deploy immediately. Very quickly, a pile of tanks appeared behind the long line of tanks. Hunters are gathered to move to the edge currently. The government is assigning defense forces to wait at the front line. They have all been gathered here but no one looks confused. How could anyone attack this gate? Isn't it? Will we all become cannon fodder? At that moment, in the crowd there were people shouting in surprise. There was an urgent announcement. There was ice attacking the S-rank gate. At that moment, the sound of wind blew loudly, as if there were hundreds of helicopters hovering in the sky, making people feel deafened right from above. Something flying over the crowd with an extremely large shape was Han Dae-sung's dragon. Han Dae-sung of Dae-sung's gang will attack the S-rank gate. When the image of the black dragon spreading its wings in the sky was beamed to the branch chief, he mumbled as if his words could be conveyed to Dae-sung. We leave everything to you. He is also the only one who dares to enter the S-rank gate at this time without anyone's support. Such hot news. How could the reporters ignore it? They raised their cameras and immediately captured the image of the dragon spreading its wings and rushing inside, leaving the only silhouette on its head alone. It was summer outside, but behind the gate, blizzard swept across Dae-sung's face. Even though he was not affected by the cold temperature, he could still guess that the feeling here was similar, like -70 degrees. Before landing, from below, Some black guy raised his 2 arms and punched wildly at the dragon with its wings. Still with the power to create fire and tornadoes from the table. His hand, however, before he could even touch the dragon, he saw its giant mouth open. The electric current was charged right into the tongue, making creepy sounds. A giant column of blue fire combined with lightning released straight down to where the black man was standing. He had to use all his strength to push his right arm to counter the attack. But there was no way to completely crush it. He clenched his teeth in discomfort, then heard a loud explosion where he had just stood. The snow rose into huge waves that swallowed the man inside. Before he could see him, Dae-sung knew right away that that bastard was planning to run away. He wouldn't allow his prey to escape that quickly. So leaving the dragon flapping its wings high above and letting people freely fall below, sure enough, he was still alive. A series of red arrows shot from below towards him. Each one was reinforced with a sharpness that was even fiercer than when he fought Dong Chul. Dae-sung already had one in his hand. Since when did he only need to swing the black dragon sword once? The Fire King's weapon turned into streams of bright red fire that destroyed all the arrows that were shot. They caught the arrow and exploded in the air and gathered together into a huge block, hitting straight at the person who shot those dozens of red arrows. Gently landing on the ground with an arrogant smile as usual, Dae-sung stood and waited for a few seconds, then curled his lips and reminded, "Hey, stop leading me around. Seriously, go fight a battle." The other guy knew that people had caught his cards, but he didn't bother to hide. He stood with his hands on his hips, looking at Dae-sung full of courage in the middle of such a stormy place. There were only 2 men staring at each other. A moment later, the black guy opened his mouth. It was still a compliment, but it sounded more realistic than the previous sentence. "You're too strong to be a hunter." Dae-sung knew that a long time ago. "If there's anything else, just bark," the other guy shouted. He made a strong fist and saw bright red lightning bolts coming from it. The enhancement ability quickly covered that dark skin. The white shirt on his body was torn due to the increased muscle stimulation. His movements are surprisingly fast. His hands have long veins. His palms are also reinforced by 2 blazing flames. A moment later, the black man became a muscular black man, with 2 arms that were no different from iron heated in a fire. And his appearance also somewhat resembled a monster. Dae-sung was not even afraid of a real monster. "What do you say about a fake?" He raised his eyebrows with interest. "Oh ho, it's a little stronger." That guy swung his arm hard, hitting the fence. "Now is the time to test your endurance. Great boxing," he roared loudly, creating a fiery ball in the air. According to the voiceover, it was a giant meteorite that appeared like it was tearing through space. The black man's whole body stiffened as if he was carrying him. "It's a whole mountain. It's so stressful, but all it gets in return is a long laugh from Dae-sung." "Then, at least it has to be like that, right?" The magic started. His eyes flashed with light. His mouth was mumbling to read. And suddenly he saw the snow behind him as if it was thrown by some force so strong that it spread out in all 3 directions. While casting the meteorite to the point of cracking, his eyes widened, but the black man was still surprised. How did he have that kind of power? Right while calling up the evil aura, the second guy stood behind Dae-sung, rotating his arm with his power. Wide area skills always have weaknesses, and he is here to carry him. Dae-sung's weak point and attack it, however. He raised his depressed eyes behind him and grumbled. Hey, what are you in such a hurry to die? I haven't even let out a single breath until now. But this guy knew I was here from the beginning? In front of me was still the black guy casting a meteorite heated in a giant fire. It was pulled out, successfully exited, preparing to go down to Dae-sung. He chuckled. The fire had to be handled by the Fire King. He brandished his black dragon sword. Dae-sung's mocking smile remained unchanged. He slammed his sword on the ground, creating a murderous aura. The giant roared towards the huge meteorite in the air. Just like that, the young man took it out as easily as a cake. Seeing his proud strength being cut off so easily, the black man roared, filled with hatred, but there was no way to remove it. 2 pieces of meteorite just flew over Dae-sung's head, rushed behind him and buried themselves in the snow. Heard a fierce explosion. The blonde guy stood behind waiting for the right moment. But at this moment, his hands trembled in disbelief. What the hell? Even Elam did not possess such terrible strength anymore. And immediately, his strong neck was squeezed tightly by his hand. It was when did Dae-sung appear? Sending lightning fists all over the big man's body? You always reveal loopholes when using that skill. He simply lifted him up just to ask a single question. First of all, where is that eye? The eye he was looking for suddenly tore through the blizzard space. Staring at Dae-sung, not just one, but countless similar eyes appeared in the surrounding space. Less than a meter apart. At first glance, I thought it was the pattern of this sky. The more he saw it, the more he liked it. Ah, here it is. These eyes. As soon as he saw dozens of eyes looking up at him, Dae-sung immediately knew who it was. I was looking for him and he appeared, holding his hand on the neck of a tall, muscular man, rushing to the left, bringing his big body with him, smashing hard on the snowy ground. The eyes around Dae-sung were looking at him with a question. Asked, so your strength is different from other hunters? I will personally verify it. Great power. The pupils seemed to widen as a stream of power shot out of the black socket containing the eye. The whirring sound emitted continuously as the red light of the chemical fist aimed straight at Dae-sung. Along with the blonde-haired man. He wasn't far away, and Dae-sung already heard that guy groaning. Ah, don't. From the hand, that man's entire huge body quickly turned to stone while he was unharmed. Standing there holding the black dragon sword silently and then carrying it to the police station. Fox. It's my turn, right? The great fireball was just a wave of Dae-sung's hand. A giant sphere was created amidst the siege of dozens of eyes. He shouted an order. Quickly show your true form. The other eye having said that, the great fireball turned into small spheres that spread out everywhere, attacking the eyes in the air, emitting loud, terrifying explosions. Even that blonde-haired guy who had turned into a statue was not an exception. He ate a deliciously explosive fireball, and the body was not even shrouded. On the white snow, there was only Dae-sung left and a few columns of smoke rising. He closed his eyes and shook his head. I know that's not enough to kill you. Come out quickly. That guy didn't hesitate either. What? Appeared a single eye staring at Dae-sung. He chuckled. Your strength does not belong to this world. Where did you come from? He pouted, asking why. If you answer me, I will answer you. That kind of bossiness makes the eyes feel funny. Do you want to do business with me? His mouth said he liked it very much. But the cruelty in those eyes was clear. He just wanted to wait for Dae-sung to let his guard down and then rip out his heart. Basically, this young man doesn't care. He just gritted his teeth and kept his eyes closed while talking to that eye. So let me ask you? Suddenly opening his eyes, the one-eyed demon shot out of Dae-sung's pupils, attacking straight into the opponent's wide-open eyes. He knew this person was planning to do something, but thought it was a trick. It doesn't work. So just keep looking. Who would have thought that the power of the one-eyed demon is so terrible? He would never believe what people like this guy say. Quickly hand over all your memories to me. The more one side resisted, the more force the other side pushed in. In the end, Dae-sung wriggled into the other guy's memories and saw that the great lover Hee-karden was having a disastrous war. Fragmented images appeared. A tall man with wings spread majestically in the sky looking down at the residents of Hee-karden, somehow beheading the people and destroying the entire planet, causing it to explode from the inside out. Next, the fragmentary images that Dae-sung saw were of a spaceship jumping out of a space circle, heading to the nebula to land on another planet. Another muscular man holding a staff stood on the barren ground, asking the person opposite who also had the eye that Dae-sung was penetrating. Hee-karden's descendants are all dead and we are the only ones still alive. What's wrong? The four bishops of the four directions at that time looked much younger than they do now, all obeying that man's orders to carry out the plan to resurrect the giants, opening up a dimension where life exists and does not exist. The space they choose is Earth. All four were ordered by that man to place gates on this planet. If we transfer ET to that planet, our plan will succeed. So, it was the appearance of gates in big cities, and they initially only targeted big cities on Earth to reach the gates. Dae-sung always manages to find somewhere where the world's leaders are gathered around a round table, suspiciously asking each other about the issue of negotiating with aliens. Is it true that we will? Is it possible to live forever? Look at the giant ball of energy that guy sent. With this energy I can dominate the whole world. Wait until the noise on the conference table has completely subsided before the strange alien with a cane comes forward to introduce himself. It's a pleasure to meet you. The leaders of the earth. I'm here to give you eternal life here. The gurgling sound of blood falling from the small pupil on the ground was that of the Eastern Bishop Elam after trying to resist Dae-sung's one-eyed demon. He gritted his eyes as he looked at his eyeball that had just been gouged out. Now he knew where that monosaurus came from. It was the waste of the universe. The demonic beast Nebula. But Elam didn't understand why that human was named. Being the ruler of that place. Elam quickly fled back to the place he ruled, leaving Dae-sung alone standing in the middle of the snowstorm muttering unhappily. That guy has memories of 1,000 years. I let him run away in a careless moment. Is that guy the final boss? He scratched his head about the trouble. What was it about resurrecting giants? Was that their real goal? There's so much information. I haven't been able to absorb it yet. And even though this is an S-rank gate, there aren't any monsters in here. Suddenly Dae-sung's eyes collided with something. When he looked back, it turned out to be two streams of blurry white smoke soaring from the remains of the blonde man. Those two things flashed up in the sky, like two souls escaping. The red gate had been swirling like that for several hours. But no one dared to enter Dae-sung's star. Outside were a large number of hunters and civilians waiting for the situation. The head of the Seoul City branch came over and thanked Han-ul and Hazen for leading the aid team to help him. But just to ask Han-ul, I heard you can't use both hands. Okay, what's up? He replied. I have already used the equipment to replace it. Although the technology is still limited, the combat is quite good. Seeing that someone had information, Hazen wanted to know how long Hunter Dae-sung had been in there. Estimated to be nearly 3 hours. He said there was a possibility that there would be a second raid. So even if he failed, I still hoped he could return safely. Suddenly, a childish voice reprimanded me from behind. Don't talk to my master like that. Who dares to call Dae-sung master other than this kid Sol Yeon? He walked closer to the adults and repeated with a disparaging look. Don't talk about my master like that. Have you heard? Seeing Sol Yeon made Haran angry. What is she doing here? The girl replied bluntly. They also came for me. Those Hans group. The two people in front of them widened their eyes and looked at this girl. Didn't those Hans group come to look for these two people? But did they come to find Sol Yeon? The branch manager smelled the information and immediately turned to ask her. What happened? In short, that guy was killed by my doll. Han-ul was still the same as always. Although she didn't say it out loud, she wondered in her mind. Is this girl talking about the cursed doll that she always carries? Sol Yeon scratched her head in annoyance. This time the doll was even stronger than before. But because it killed that guy, it lost its power. And to revive it, I had to help Han Dae-sung become even stronger. Suddenly there was a shout of surprise in the crowd. It was successful. The color changed. The gate was processed. The group of 4 quickly looked over, looking to see the figure of Han Dae-sung coming out from there. In Dae-sung's hand, 2 transparent stones appeared. From the system, he knew that they were giant meteorites containing power, also known as a T-type, which could create an S-class false awakening. He has 2 in his hand. So to put it simply, these 2 pieces can create 2 S-class fake awakenings. Just listen to it and you'll know it's good and real. What Dae-sung is most concerned about is not knowing how much money these things will sell for. Or should I try and see? He raised his face in the snow and a moment later, the people outside were loudly calling Han Dae-sung's name. Still riding the dragon as majestically as when he entered, Dae-sung came out bringing a snowstorm from inside the gate, causing the crowd to applaud continuously. Sol Yeon excitedly waved to him repeatedly. Master is here. While the other 3 people all showed the same solemn expression. No matter what expression, Dae-sung's eyes are still indifferent. The crowd only dared to stand from afar looking at him with admiration. He single-handedly wiped out that S company gate. It was terrible. I don't know how strong it was. Among them, there was only one person who dared to come forward and loudly call out. Mr. Han Dae-sung, in lieu of invitation, I would like to send my most sincere thanks to you. After the branch captain opened his mouth, the crowd dared to howl loudly, worshipping him just like Ito, making the young man bored and not knowing how to express himself. Because he was so embarrassed. On the surface, Dae-sung could only act like he was cold, but within a few seconds, he saw little Seo Yeon approaching and calling, Master, Master, the monster in the company gate. Does S have anything special? Nearby, Ha Jin and Han Ul also had expectant eyes. Everyone wanted to know what Dae-sung had encountered inside. Unexpectedly, the young man raised his depressed face and replied, there were no children at all, making everyone both surprised and disappointed. Are you saying this S-rank gate has no monsters? Dae-sung hummed but didn't want to say more. Just a simple summary. There were 3 people inside. One with blue eyeliner, one with black eyeliner and one with white eyeliner. Ha Jin immediately guessed that the black-eyed guy was the one who attacked Lee Chong-sik, and the white-eyed guy must have been the one who attacked Dong Chul. But she had the same thought as the branch head. It was ridiculous that an S company gate didn't have a single monster. Although he was still skeptical about what Dae-sung said, he quickly ended everything here. The association would personally investigate later. At this time, Han Ul spoke up and asked who the blue-eyed guy was. While everyone knew that the other 2 people were the ones who attacked Lee Chong-sik and Seo Dong-chul, there were many things Ha Jin wanted to ask. But in the end she just wanted to know how everyone was doing. I killed everyone except the blue-eyed guy. He escaped. The branch head asked by the way. Is that blue-eyed guy the same as the others? Compared to the other guys, he's very similar to the boss. But I think the person behind the strings is someone else. I need time to sort out the information. The adults were seriously chatting when Seo Yeon suddenly called out, Master, did you get anything from this S-rank gate? The other 3 people did not follow. But it was clear that everyone's eyes were focused on him. Items from the S-rank portal must be very special these days. Who wouldn't want to know? When talking about spoils of war, Dae-sung suddenly appeared dizzy, had a headache, and immediately lost consciousness. After finding an excuse, without letting people believe it or not, he waved his hand and told him to contact Sung Chan-ho if there was anything. I'm done here, get out of here. So right in front of everyone's eyes, Dae-sung immediately apparated, ignoring the little witch who kept yelling, Master, just wait. Each person pursued their own thoughts. There were many things that needed Dae-sung to answer. But he just disappeared. That day, television continuously reported that a Korean hunter named Han Dae-sung had single-handedly swept through the S-rank gate. From home to abroad, everyone reported this news on the hot news. Because Dae-sung was the first hunter who could handle an S-rank gate by himself. With this achievement, Korea not only rose to become a hunter power but also changed the global rankings. No one is as happy as Zon Gichul. He sat in front of his livestream screen. Keep praising how cool it is. The world's strongest hunter has appeared. Han Dae-sung. And who am I, ladies and gentlemen? The head of Han Dae-sung's fan club. The person who has been following him since the Gangnam incident. Let's look back at the world's achievements and see why this event is so meaningful. Zon Gichul read out a series of countries that were able to wipe out an S-class gate. America, China, Russia, Japan, India, the European Union and finally Korea were on the map. Got it, bro. So what should be noted here? This was the first time in history that someone could clear an S-rank gate by himself. This was unprecedented in other countries. So I think after this event, Han Dae-sung should be promoted to number 1 in the global hunter rankings. If you agree, please give me a like. Contrary to Zon Gichul's excitement, the comments in his broadcast are all negative. Some people wonder why this portal has no monsters. Unfortunately, some people think that Dae-sung is just a liar. But every time I touch idol Dae-sung, Zon Gichul gets angry and can't stand it. He stood up and pointed at the screen and cursed. I will block everyone who dares to speak ill of Han Dae-sung. Whoever wants to fight, come out here. But then he immediately picked up the phone and called a close source. The cleaning team leader, to ask how the handling of the S-Class gate in Busan was going. Not sure what the other person said, but he widened his eyes and kept shouting. What? Are you serious? The next morning, in the building where Dae-sung gang worked, the phone rang endlessly. Which is Korean CNN? Which is Japan's Joomujin Daily? BBCD also called. Shin Cho-young was writing with one hand and picking up the phone with the other. Just waking up in the morning. The office was so busy. She rubbed her aching head. The leader said she was here to handle some things for him. So why didn't she say anything about these calls? The experience of fighting as a hunter for so long ended up being used only as a secretary, taking one phone call after another. But this girl complained like that. But in the end she still picked up the phone loudly on the other end of the line. Hello, I'm Secretary Shin Cho-young. But because she also understood Chan Ho was sitting in the office complaining. Damn Dae-sung. Why didn't he pick up the phone? Called so many times but still can't get through. He tapped furiously on the screen. Dae-sung. It looks like we need to hold a press conference. The office is in complete chaos. Please, answer the phone. The phone vibrated loudly but the general was still sleeping soundly. His mouth was still drooling. He didn't know what he was dreaming about. Just blaming Chan Ho solved many problems overnight. Now that I think about it, why didn't anyone stop Dae-sung from going in alone? Shouldn't he have brought a few people in there with him? That day at Hanser's Demon Blood Temple, where Ramus, the high monk of Hecate, the same person Dae-sung had seen in Elam's subconscious, was kneeling under the giant statues as if praying for something. Suddenly, Elam's voice greeted him very carefully and introduced him from behind. I came here to see the monk. He was twice as tall as Elam. He turned around silently, having heard that guy report that there was something on Earth that could cause the Eastern Bishop to come here and report it himself. It seems the Demon King of the Nebula has come to Earth. He read my memories and discovered our plan. It was such bad news that Elam personally came here to report it. Ramus pondered for a long time, then tapped his staff on the floor. It emitted a magical light next to its owner, who was giving orders to the bishops. Temporarily stop creating portals in Korea and fully prepare for the war with the heavens. Responding to the sharpness in his voice, Elam obediently bowed his head and obeyed. The next day at the World Hunter Association held in a certain European city, many newspapers and magazines with Dae-sung's pictures were placed on the table, repeating the shocking news over and over again. Current activity. Only one hunter can clear the S-rank gate in 3 hours. And the common question is why that gate has no loot. Sitting along the large conference table were more than a dozen men whispering about this. After a while, the person sitting in front tapped on his microphone. Darren Anderson, president of the World Hunter Association, spoke up to stop the noise surrounding him. Now we will start discussing the event related to the S-Class gate edge in Korea. To start the meeting, Dae-sung's arrogant face was shown on the screen for everyone to look up. As you can see, this is the hunter named Han, who single-handedly wiped out the S-rank gate in Korea. Just introduced. A hand was raised asking to wait a moment. The president of the Japan Hunter Center, Nichikawa Shinji, protested irritably. Our country ranks next to the gate based on the level of the monsters, not its aura. According to the report, there are no monsters inside that side of the gate, so we can't consider it an S-rank side of the gate. Including Japan, there are only 6 countries that have cleared the S-rank gate. Jin Zhang, vice president of the Chinese Hunter Force, also voiced similar agreement. The S-rank gate inherently cannot be handled by just one person, so it is not an S-rank gate. I can only put it on par with one of the hunter's checkpoints. The brown-haired man sitting next to Park Dong-ho immediately cleared his throat to let everyone stop protesting so openly. Why are people in such a hurry? Please don't arbitrarily judge the situation while the president of the Korean Hunter Association is still sitting here. He let everyone gossip back and forth. But in his heart he clearly knew that those people wanted to cause tension. Right? I would indulge them if I liked. Da Ren in the middle had to speak up to calm the two down. It was true that the association would send an investigation team to confirm whether it was indeed an S-class gate or not. But today's meeting was not held for that purpose. Let's first listen to Park Dong-ho. president of the Korean Association. Speak. He stood up, grabbed his microphone, and introduced himself as the president of the Korean Hunter Association. We have some important information about this hunter named Han Dae-sung. And for that reason we are calling for an international response. First, please watch this video. That was Han Dae-sung's still arrogant face, but filmed from inside the gate when he was in the middle of a snowstorm. That day at the Dae-sung building, all eyes were focused on the car that had just braked in front. The reporters were all excited. It was leader Sung Chan-ho. They quickly changed direction to target the car that had just braked. Following Shin Cho-young and Chan-ho on it, she still looks calm, but the guy sitting behind her is very confused. Sir, it seems reporters have surrounded this place. What should we do? Chan-ho didn't know anything. He just felt mad, but in the end he still had to open the door and get out of the car. Facing so many questions that were coming his way. Mr. Sung Chan-ho, please speak. We heard that S-rank gate is not S-rank. What did Hunter Han Dae-sung say about this? Is it an S-rank gate? Adjusting the flap to buy an extra 2 to 3 seconds for his brain to work quickly. Chan-ho silently cursed whoever dared to say it wasn't an S-class gate. With a gentle smile, he replied in general terms. Everyone, we will inform you about Hunter Han Dae-sung's opinion on this gate later. Until then, everyone please wait patiently. No one can be patient in this situation. Whoever has the news first will have hot news in that station's newspaper. So a bunch of questions just popped up in front of Chan-ho, making him unable to answer in time. Luckily, Shin Cho-young stepped forward to stop everyone. That was enough of the interview. She opened up the crowded crowd for Chan-ho to step inside. And he didn't have to be shy. Once he got close to the steps, he turned around to thank Cho-young. The reporters lost their goal of answering the question, so they temporarily switched to Cho-young to get something interesting. But she was much tougher than Chan-ho. If you didn't want to answer, just flatly refuse. In front of the Hunter's family's high-class apartment building, there was also a group of press gathered at the entrance, waiting. As soon as they saw Jisoo's pink-dyed hair and the mother coming, their attention immediately turned. Wasn't that the mother of Hunter Han Dae-sung and his sister? The two people, not understanding anything, were hit with a bunch of flashlights and a series of questions from reporters. The first time being surrounded by a group of strangers with a series of questions. Jisoo had to quickly hug her mother, who was cowering in worry. What's wrong with these people? A scruffy-looking man with oval hair pointed the recorder forward, trying to speak first. Ma'am, your son is inside right now. Right? Your son is the hero of the country. Many people want to hear a few words from this hero. What a hero. Neither Jisoo nor her mother understood what these people were saying. But he thought they were pretending, so he squinted his eyes and pushed some more. Please say something. What happened in the recent S-class gate incident? His face was still frowning. His eyebrows were still apologetic. But Jisoo hesitantly narrated. He said there was no need to evacuate. He said that there's no place as safe as home. So there's no need to evacuate. Getting Jisoo's answer, the crowd immediately gathered there to get more information. A female reporter immediately approached and asked a question about her appearance. Miss Jisoo, it seems that Mr. Han Dae-sung changed his hair color. What psychological change caused this to happen? No one knows about changing hair color. Jisoo was about to say nonsense, then heard his brother's voice from somewhere decisively call both his full name and full name. Hey Han Jisoo. It's Dae-sung appearing with a nonchalant look, his hands in his pockets, and a short order to his younger brother. Quickly bring mom inside the house. Immediately, all the surprised reporters rushed to his place, constantly calling Hunter Han Dae-sung. All the questions were passed to the main character. Everyone wants to know what's really inside the gate. Some people also want him to pose to take some pictures to post to make it hot. It was still the oval-haired man with the scruffy face who spoke first. What do you think about the hypothesis that there is nothing inside that S-class plus wing? The people have the right to know, so please say it. Still the same expression on his face. Indifferently, he put his index finger to his lips as if to shush. Whoever opened their mouth would not be allowed to attend the press conference. Just as simple as that. It was possible to turn off the lights of all the reporters present. And even that oval-haired guy didn't dare to ask or say a word. Suddenly Dae-sung snapped 2 fingers and emitted lightning, causing all the electronic equipment in the reporter's hands to explode on the spot. He didn't bother to explain. Just turned around. Throw your hand away. Now that I mention it, no filming or taking photos is allowed. I will reveal all the information at the press conference within the next week. So please go home now. His attitude clearly did not please the reporters. But no one dared to object. After a stressful meeting at the World Hunter Association, Director Park Young-ho sat alone in a large chair thinking about the words Jin Jong said during the meeting. The gate is a danger to the people. But it's also an essential resource. Looks like I'll have to capture some Hans to create that gate. Clearly, he was doubting the strength of Korea's S-rank hunter, and wanted to personally assess that guy's abilities. Therefore, Jin Jong suggested that we should summon Hunter Han Dae-sung to hear his explanation about this incident. Sitting opposite, Mr. Shinji of Japan also wanted to get more authentic evidence by hearing Han Dae-sung come here and tell the story directly. Even though he's not as scheming as that guy, Shinji still wants to know what Dae-sung's abilities are. If that guy Han's ability is so strong, he must create a good cooperative relationship with Korea. Someone sitting next to me shook his finger and chimed in. If we had full control over such gates, it would be very beneficial to humanity. Please call Hunter Han here for more information. Someone rushed in to force Dong-ho, making him extremely frustrated. Responding on the spot, Hunter Han Dae-sung is currently our greatest resource in Korea, so he won't send it abroad. However, the association's president, Darren, spoke up. The International Association will send 5 S-rank hunters to guard the gates. How about we call Hunter Han here and see what he thinks about the association's policy? If Darren spoke up like that, it would be difficult to refuse. But inside Dong-ho was not happy. Looking at them, it's clear that these guys don't care about the Hans group at all and only care about Han Dae-sung. Staring at Darren for a moment, I knew he was uncompromising. But Dong-ho was also not average. He doesn't want to reason anymore. He just shakes his head and shakes his head. You guys can do whatever you want. I don't agree. Just like that. At the end of the meeting, Dong-ho was on the plane returning to the country, determined not to let those guys achieve their goal. After avoiding the reporters, Dae-sung went to the building named after him to immediately meet Cho-young. She bowed her head sincerely and thanked him. He saved my life twice and still didn't have a chance to thank me. That's why. Decided to work in this building to give back. Hearing Dae-sung ask, "Is your body okay?" Cho-young honestly said, "Because my aura core was destroyed. I can't continue working as a hunter anymore. But daily life is no problem. I want to work here," and assisted him until he returned to being a hunter. Dae-sung doesn't quite understand. Meaning you still can't do hunter jobs. Cho-young's face looked sad. Those monsters took away my parents. I must recover quickly and take revenge on the people who created the gate. Dae-sung heard every word clearly, but his face did not show any emotion at all. At that moment, Chan-ho opened the door from outside with a black envelope in his hand. As soon as he saw his friend's face, he put aside all his frustration at being disturbed outside and held out what was in his hand. "Hey Dae-sung, look. This is an invitation from the International Hunter Association." The content of the letter was quite lengthy and formal, basically saying thanks, congratulations, sincerity and all, and looking forward to inviting Han Dae-sung to attend the conference organized by the World Hunter Association. We would like to personally hear the above valuable information from Han Dae-sung's own experience. This conference is a special event with the world's top hunters as guests, and your presence will be a great honor for us. While Mr. Han Dae-sung is absent, we will send 5 S-rank hunters to Korea to be able to protect that place, and we believe that contact with the world's top hunters present at the conference this time will be a useful experience for Mr. Han Dae-sung. This letter was written by Darren Anderson, president of the Hunter Association. No, Chan-ho is already acting like a proud father of a talented son. Our Dae-sung is going abroad and meeting the world's top hunters. So should I come along? Right? In contrast to his friend, Dae-sung yawned. "I'm not going anywhere. They both stared at him in confusion. Didn't they think more carefully about an opportunity like this? Short called to explain to Chan Ho. Those guys are stronger than you think. If they come while I'm absent, you guys will definitely die. Thinking back, what this guy said was true. Even if the association sent 5S rank hunters, they still couldn't compare to his friend Dae Sung. Then we'll tell them not to go. But what about the press conference? A press conference. When I talk about Dae Sung, I remember this. For some reason, my mouth says I have a plan, but my eyes look at Cho Young, making her feel a bad feeling. The press conference was held around Dae Sung, but as soon as it started, people flashed their lights and took pictures continuously. Cho Young, representing everyone, started the press conference about the S-Class gate. First of all, leader Sung Chan Ho will provide some basic information. He walked over, grabbed the microphone and introduced, I am the leader of Dae Sung Gang. After briefly talking about the situation, it was Cho Young's turn to invite those who had questions to raise their hands one by one to be answered. Almost all the reporters present quickly raised their hands to gain power. So she had to point out. Reporter in the front row. Please. That person introduced. I am reporter Lee Jimin of Hunter Daily. Wanted to ask Hunter Han Dae Sung a question. I heard that your family didn't evacuate when the gate opened. Do you know any information regarding the gate? I'm curious why you said that. Dae Sung went to the press conference without bringing any script with him. He hesitated and then decided to say frankly, I don't know anything about the gate. But now I know that there is no gate I can't handle. So I told them there was no need to go anywhere. In addition to speaking the truth. But with confidence. The whole hall roared in surprise. Only the group that blamed Chan Ho's face distorted. Dae Sung. It's Dae Sung. Please control your words for me. A familiar hand below took the opportunity to rise. It was the talkative oval-haired man from the previous day who asked the same question. I heard it was the gate this time.